So what I want to try and explain to you is the bigger kind of overarching things first, and then we'll get into the kind of the micro things. Okay. So let me start off by pulling up my notes, some of the things I wanted to talk about with you. There we go. So number one, patience. Okay. These things we're going to talk about, they just take time, and you got to be okay with the frustration. Like, you got to be okay with it not being where you want it to be, and you just keep working at it and just keep working at it. Okay. Now, the other thing I want you to understand is that the answer isn't always in a metronome. We want to use the metronome to help us push our levels, but some of this stuff, you got to feel it out first. You have to find the synchronicity in your hands before you ever start worrying about a metronome. This is something that's really important, so please listen. You're always only as fast as your slowest component. If your third finger is struggling, if your picking is struggling, if your string switching is struggling, you will always only be as fast as your slowest component. So the goal is to figure out what's the slowest component. Okay, so let me look at my notes quick. Patience and persistence and attention to detail. That's the first thing I have. Second thing, only as fast as your slowest component. Okay. Third thing, type of pick, strings, string height. If you guys were sitting in my studio right now and you grabbed this guitar, the first thing you'd say to yourself is, oh my gosh, that guitar is easy to play. Because it is. I don't want to fight when I play. I want to play. So the strings are really light. The strings are really close to the fretboard. I pick very soft because I do a lot of what we call shredding. Now, I'm not saying that shredding is what you're looking for. It's a term, for some people, it's a term of endearment. And for some people, it's a term that turns them off, right? All I'm saying is that you're always battling a tempo. We've been talking many times about quarter, eighth, 16th note. Well, that 16th note, if you're at 160, that 16th note is shredding, guys. It is. That's what it is. So dialing in the proper tone and the proper feel is really important. Now, I'm not telling you to do what I do. Please don't do that, okay? But the picks that I use, a great starting point, like these are Jim Dunlop, John Petrucci from Dream Theater. These are his picks. They're 2.0. They're pretty thick, but they have a really great point. I've always been a 2.0 user. That's what all my guitar picks are 2.0. I'm not saying, please understand, I'm not saying 2.0 is best. I'm not saying you should use what I'm using. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you what I use. So they're 2.0. What's really, really important to me is the tip of the pick. Okay. It doesn't have to be extra sharp or anything like that. It just needs to be like any shredder kind of guitar pick is going to have a really nice, I don't want to use the term sharp, but point. Okay. If it's really rounded like a jazz pick, you're not going to get any attack off of it. If your pick is really old and you've worn off the top of the pick, you're not going to get any attack off of it. Okay. Your pick needs to have a point so it can attack the string. So I throw out strings or throw out guitar picks very frequently. Like on these jazz threes. Sorry, I don't know where my head is. I used to use jazz threes. On these Petrucci's, as soon as the decal is kind of wearing off, I throw them away. I actually put them in a bucket over there and I give them to students, but at the school that we live next to. But that's what I do. So as soon as the edge is off, I'm using a new pick. It's that important to me. So the nice thing about these Petrucci's is they're not super expensive. The other picks that I really, really love are these Hawk picks. If you've ever heard of a Hawk pick, but they're very expensive. They come from the UK. They last a long time, but they're expensive. But same thing, got a 2.0, that sort of thing. So these are a good one to start with if you want to kind of go down this path. They're not super expensive to begin with. But just be aware of that. Like, don't, if you're one of those people that has to rub your pick on the carpet to try and sharpen it and stuff like that, get one less latte and get some new guitar picks. Okay? Go out to eat one less time and get yourself some decent guitar picks. And as soon as that edge is gone, you're done. Okay? That all makes sense? If I do this. What you'll notice is you're hearing an attack. You're hearing the pick attack. You're hearing the pick attack the string. Do you hear that? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. So we talked about the pick. Okay, the actual pick. Now what I want to talk about is the tone. Now, my guitar is very easy to play. We already talked about that. The strings are set up so it's very easy to play, okay? I've got a really good guitar tone that feels comfortable to me. Yes, I've got distortion, okay? I'm still firmly convinced that Jerry Reed and all those guys from the 50s and 60s were probably 10 times the player that any of us could possibly be because they all shredded, these old country dudes, all shredded on clean tones. I kind of live in this distortion realm. So I've got a little delay, a little reverb. Obviously, I've got some distortion going. Okay, so tone to me is very important. Feel to me is very important. Now let's talk about the pick just for a second. Okay, so now the thing you have to think about with the pick are a couple of things. First of all, you have to think about the pick angle this direction. And you have to think about the pick angle this direction. And this is very important, this direction right here. Now, if I stay flat, I'm going to get a really aggressive pick attack. As I turn the pick, it starts slicing the string and I lose that attack. But the reality is when you're trying to do this picking thing, which again, I'm going to get to in like 3 minutes, okay? You do have to turn the pick a little bit because you've got to kind of slice through those strings a little bit. If you turn the pick too much, everything just sounds like... It doesn't sound good at all. So you've got to find the point between being flat against the string and turning the guitar pick. You got to find the point that best fits you. Okay, I don't really do a lot of turning this, like this rotation. I don't do a lot of this. Okay, most of what I do is done by just simply turning the pick a little bit this direction. That's where mine comes from. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you all this stuff in just a second. Okay, so these initial things that we're talking about, even though I'm running through them because we only have so much time, they're all very important. The right guitar, the right strings, the right setup, the right tone, the right pick. Don't be obsessive compulsive about it. Just start being aware of it, right? If you grab a guitar that, an acoustic guitar where the strings are that far away, this is going to be really tough. So you got to think about putting them a little bit closer. There are videos, there are YouTubers that deep dive very deep into this whole thing. It's very easy to become OCD with all this stuff. It doesn't work that way with me. Like it's not that deep to me. And that's why the angle that I'm making is the only thing that I'm changing. It doesn't matter whether I'm going this direction or this direction. It doesn't matter if I'm going forward or backward, which is what Chris was mentioning. None of that changes for me. Okay, so I'm not sure this is answering your question, but what I want to caution you guys about is just getting way too obsessive compulsive about specific things. And that's why when we talk about this, which again we're going to do in just a minute, we're going to start small and then we're going to start building it out. But you got to understand the smallest components first. And then you'll see how it works on a bigger, ascending, descending, up and down, side to side, all that kind of stuff. Now, everything we're going to be talking about, guys, is going to be based off diatonic scales. And it's okay if you don't know your diatonic scales. That's not what this conversation is about right now. But the key to speed picking, the key to faster stuff is to have 3 notes on each string, not pentatonics. So that's the first thing that you got to get comfortable with. And then the second thing is the more you can see your fretboard, of course, the more opportunity you have to shift these things around the guitar. Okay? So prepping for this, what you need to understand, now I haven't practiced much today. I've been in meetings all day and I've got meetings right after this. But warming up, stretching, all that kind of stuff is really important. Like when you first start for the day, you might not be at your optimal speeds. I'm not. I have to get my body, my brain, I got to get warmed up to this stuff, which is why I'm not starting off with a metronome. I just got to get in the game. And then once I get everything going, then I can start trying to refine a little bit more, okay? So the first thing I want to show you that's kind of the crucial part of this whole thing, get Feliciano in here. The first part of this is understanding that what you're really doing is it's all based off alternate picking. Like everything is all, you can't downpick. Everything is alternate picking. And if you keep in mind that you're only as fast as your slowest component. So I do want to remind you of those warm-ups we've talked about before, the 20-second exercise, legato practice, strengthening your fingers, working on 2-minute drills with your down picking, your alternate picking. That kind of stuff is really important because what you're going to do now is you're going to merge these guys together. And if your third finger is slow, you're only going to be as fast as your third finger. If your picking is slow, you're only going to be as fast as your picking. Right? So you got to find that balance. You can't go any faster than that slowest component, which is the micro element of this. You got to really pay attention to what you're trying to do. So let me show you where most of us shredders from the 80s started, which is with Paul Gilbert. Paul Gilbert from Mr. Big came out with a video called Intense Rock, a guitar course, and it spawned me and everybody else like me. And this is where it all began. Was what we did was we went to the 12th fret, and if you have your guitar, please try this. Please, please. We went to the 12th fret of the second string. You can go anywhere, but I want to just show you this. So I'm going to play 12, 13, and 15, which is a down, up, down. Now, the whole point to shredding, if I can use that term, is that the pick just wants to go. That's what the pick wants to do. It's not always starting on a down. It's not always starting on an up. It's just doing its job, which is to move back and forth. That's what the pick's job is. So what we're doing here is we're going to go down, up, down. And I'm just playing 1, 2, 4. But while I'm doing it, you're going to notice all the other strings are quiet, right? I'm deadening all those other strings. Okay, and this is a nice place where I can start trying to work on my pick angle, right? I can, if I turn more, I lose a little bit of the attack. If I pick flat, I have a lot of attack, but I can feel the pick getting stuck. So if I turn a little bit, see I'm turning this way, the pick is getting stuck less if I turn a little bit. Now, here's the kicker, guys. I'm going to go to the first string, 12th fret. And that's an upstroke. Why? Because I'm playing 3 notes on each string. So I'm going to get down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up. And so you've got to get comfortable with so that up is almost like a swing, like you're swinging. And when you first start doing it, like Paul Gilbert talks about how if you need to, like if you keep going down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, because you're so used to thinking about it that way, what you do is you overact the up. Don't worry about how fast it is. Just get used to the fact that when you get to that string, you're gonna do an up. So you have down, up, down, up. Down, up, down, up. Is everybody with me so far? Okay, so please remember, it's not how fast you go. That's not what this is. Does it make sense to you? Does it feel comfortable? Because the speed comes once you understand what the process is. You got to figure out the process first, then worry about the speed afterwards. Because if there's something that's too slow, it doesn't matter how fast you try and go. It's just going to be, you don't want that. Okay? So that's step number one, is just making that up. Trying to deaden all the other strings. Now, the second part is I want to go back. I want to go back to where I started from. So I'm going. Okay, let me let George in here. So now I've got a group of threes. Ba 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 ba. So I'm playing 12, 13, 15, 12 on the next string. And then I'm going back and playing 15, 13, 12. I'm just going kind of round robin, if you will. I'm going up and going back. And notice how I'm ending on the same down that I started on. So the trick here is there's the alternate picking, there's the fingers that you're using, but the biggest trick is trying to get to that first string, that adjacent string, and then get back again. Down, up, down, up, down. Now, let's understand the concept there. When I do down, up, if you think about it, what's happening when I do that up is it's pushing my pick back up this direction so I can come back down again. So as I go down, up, see, I'm sitting right here. Now when I go back to this down, I'm already on top here to do that down. So if you watch this picking hand, nothing's changing about my second string and my first string. Nothing's changing. I'm just moving the same way I always do, but I got to kind of jump over that string and hit that upstroke. Are you all with me so far? Okay, so here's where it begins. Is now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cycle of repetition. So if I think about it, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, when I hit that note, I'm going to start all over again. I'm not going to hit it twice because it's already a 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You following what I'm saying? Now, I also want you to recognize that I'm kind of accenting the ba-da-da, 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 ba-da, so my body and my mind can feel that accent. Because as I go faster, I can't think about each note anymore. I'm seeing it as one thing. See, that's the thing about, like we've talked about before, when you're jamming that eighth note thing we've been talking about, you're very in the moment and you're making choices on every one of those notes. When you play faster, you're not making choices anymore. It's a holistic thing that you're playing. So you're not changing anything about it. You're just feeling it as one large component. You see, there's nothing for me to change about it. I'm just going to play exactly what it is. Does that make sense, guys? So that's where you start, is that one thing. Okay? So if you've never done this before, that's where we're going to start. Now I want to show you some other things. So if it feels like it's going to confuse you, you don't have to stick around. You can always take off, okay? But I want to show you some other things. I want to get to what Chris was talking about a little bit. Now, Chris, I want to stay in the 3 note per string realm, though. because the 4 note per string stuff, it isn't as useful. So I'm going to stay in this 3 note per string realm. So the thing about this now is what I can do is I can go now and do what we'll call a full round robin. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I want to finish off this string. So what I'm going to do is on this string, I'm going to play 1, 2, 4, or maybe I'll play 1, 3, 4. I could do either one of those things because from a diatonic scale, it doesn't matter. I could play 1, 2, 4 or 1, 3, 4. You got to think about what you want to do. Like if you keep it 1, 2, 4, it might be easier because you're doing the exact same shape on both strings. Or if you do 1, 3, 4 on this string, now you've got a set of 1, 2, 4 and 1, 3, 4. That might be harder for you to actually play. Maybe your 3, 4 kind of sucks, right? So it's okay to practice either one. You could do 1, 2, 4 both times. You could do 1, 3, 4 both times. You see what I'm saying, guys? Like I could do this. Now I'm using this finger. Now I'm going to use this finger. This hand doesn't care. This hand doesn't care about anything. It just does its thing. So now, if we're going round robin, I might go 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. But when I get to the top, so that's one thing that you could do is you could just go up. Or you could do 1, 3, 4. Now again, I know I'm rushing through this. I'm not trying to show off. I'm just trying to show you how this works. Now, that's the second one. The third one is I'm going to come back around like I did in the first one. I'm going to do this. Let's go to a 1, 2, 4. So I'm just going all the way up and coming all the way back down. Going all the way up, coming all the way back down. I'm never doubling anything. I'm never doubling anything. That's too much to think about. It's all singles. It's just singles. That's all you're doing. Now, this thing starts on a down, ends on a down. The problem with it is it's got a wonky amount of notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's got 10 notes. So it doesn't necessarily fit in the da-da-da-da-da-da-da kind of thing. It's a pattern, okay? So, but what I want to work on is going back down. Now, here's the thing. Holistically on the guitar, when you're going this direction forward, you're putting fingers down as you go, which is easier for most people than going this direction, where you have to get the fingers out of the way. So there, you've got to get your fingers out of the way before the next finger gets there. So timing becomes an issue. And so a lot of people struggle, and this might have been what Chris was talking about. This is where the problem is when you go backwards, it's harder because you got to get those fingers out of the way. So as you watch me do this, everything I've done up to this point, the primary focus is to go forward, and the secondary focus is to go backwards. Well, I could work on going backwards to begin with. I could go... Instead of going, I can go with 4, 2, 1 or 4, 3, 1. All of this stuff, though, guys, remember, the less you move the fingers, the better. Don't do things where you're going like... Like, don't take these big movements. You want to stay right here. When I used to teach this to students, I would put my hand over their hand like this. So when they're playing, they'd keep pushing against my hand and I'd keep pushing their fingers back down. Like, you're literally hovering over these strings. You don't want your pinky coming way out here. It's going to take way too long for it to get back. Everybody's just got to hover over those strings. And that's why all of this stuff we're talking about, the first phase of this is not how fast it is. It has nothing to do with that. You got to think about all of these little things until you become comfortable with it. You know, is the third finger struggling? Are you having a hard time shifting from one string to the next? Because if you're like me, that's where the problem is going to be, is that in that shift. Are you having a problem going forward versus going backward? And if you do, that's something you got to work on, because you're going to need to be able to do both. You got to go forward and backward. The whole thing with this is, and then we'll take some questions here, because there's a lot of other things we could get to, but I want to make sure we're cool here. When I was a kid and I was learning how to do this, I sat with this one stupid, I can't even tell you how many times I played that one thing. Hours playing that one pattern, trying to get this to work. Now, the beauty of this is I can tell you that if you're interested in this kind of thing, this is something that stimulates your brain. The beauty of this is once you do figure it out, the other connectivities to get you around the whole fretboard really isn't that hard. But you got to learn, you know, more about your scales and all that kind of stuff, obviously, to be able to navigate. But the construct is the same. That's why shredders are shredders, because the construct is always the same. You're not, like, again, think if this all makes sense to you guys. When you're going, you're thinking in real time about what's coming next and what you're going to do. When you do this, you're not thinking about any of that. It's all automated. It's something that you've practiced and developed. The only thing you're thinking about is when you're going to put it in, where are you going to put it in, how are you going to put it in. But the actual execution of what you're doing is already pre-built. You see? The thing about it is that it's just, you got to get used to the art of it. So for me, the most important thing is number one, making that initial connection to another string. That's the big thing, is making that initial connection. And then the next thing after that is just trying to add some variety. Are we going up all the way and coming back down? Or are we just doing a small one? Are we going all the way up and back down? Because as you add more strings, that's all you're doing is the same thing, but you're reconnecting over and over and over as you go. But the construct is the same. Does that make sense, guys, or am I confusing you? That's the whole thing, is you start there and you start developing that. Now, if you're going to use a metronome, what I would recommend is using a metronome in a triplet sense. Which will work for all of the ones except for the 10-note one. It'll be weird for that. So for me, there's a blues position and a shred position. That's how I think about my hand position. So when I want blues, usually my thumb is kind of over the top, you know, and that's where I am. Okay? Now, this is a generalization. It's not exact, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about, because I want to grab the guitar to do all the bending and all that kind of stuff. When I go to do my shred stuff, my thumb's going to come down and my fingers are going to go like this, because I have to be in this position where this pinky is in alignment with this first finger. I can't be like this, because I wouldn't be able to reach. Where when I'm in this blues stance, that's kind of what's happening, is I'm kind of, you know, in that awkward kind of position like that. But when I go to do shredding stuff, I'm going to drop down, because these two guys, and then the ones in between, of course, but they got to align with each other. If I'm like this, now I got to like do that and try and reach that, and then these fingers are all screwed up in there and everybody's all squished together. So I drop down. So my thumb is kind of in the center of the guitar. Now I have really small hands, okay? But my thumb comes down to kind of the center of the guitar. What's most important is the wrist is kicking this direction. to give my pinky a fighting chance to do what it needs to do. See, as I move across the guitar, you know, if I was here, that poor pinky's like trying to get up there. If I turn in, if I lower my wrist down and I turn in like this, notice how my wrist is down. My wrist is not up. There's no way you can do this like this. There's no way. You got to lower your wrist down. And then if you kick this direction, see now that thumb is, or that pinky is right there. It doesn't matter that it's turned. Like people will go, well, your fingers are turned. It doesn't matter. Who cares if my fingers are turned? I'm not making a bar chord. I'm playing a scale. You know what I mean? So I'm playing with the very tip of my pick. You guys probably can't even see this. Probably not. Gosh, I don't even know how to show you. There is, maybe like that. That's how much of the tip of the pick is showing. See, I don't hold my pick in the center of the pick. Again, I have very small hands that match my very small body. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. I have no idea. But when I hold a pick, I'm holding it right up next to the tip of that pick. And that's just what's comfortable for me. I am never back here. Oh my gosh, am I never back here. This is where the pick turns and flips and hits somebody in the eye, like ever. And you could be in the center. I am not in the center. I'm toward the front of the pick always. Which is why I used to use a pick called a Jazz 3, if any of you are familiar with the Jazz 3. It became a very, very popular guitar pick that shredders would use. It's very small. And I was like, wow, this is perfect. It fits my hands. And for 10 years, I used Jazz 3s. And I loved them. And then I went back to these. And this is a regular size pick. It's a standard size pick. But I hold it closer to the front of the pick. Again, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is what I figured out about myself. So when I go to play, I'm turning a little bit. I've got that tip of the pick. And what's cutting me through each time is the up. There's the down, because it's a group of 6, right? If you think about the math, you're playing down, up, up. Well, if you did 6 notes, you do down, up, up, down, up. So when you get to the next group, you're just starting over. Down, up, up, down, up. And you get to the next group of strings. Down, up, up. It's just a recycling pattern. Yes, Mark?
So you're talking about, keeping your hand a little close to the front, and that's for picking. What about if you're playing chords? Are you still going to hold the pick the same exact way?
To be honest with you, I do still hold the pick the same way. But everything else about what I'm doing is going to change. So if now, again, not to make this overly complicating, but the front of the pick, there's almost nothing there. But if I flip it over to the back side, there's a lot more there. So when I go to strum, now notice where when I was doing my speed picking, I was like this. When I'm strumming, I'm back here again. Like I'm not turned over like I would if I was picking fast. So I'm back into a normal place here with my strumming. So again, because I live in the real world, and I'm not trying to be rude, I don't have 14 different guitar picks on stage that I can choose from for different songs and different things that I'm going to do. It's a pick, and I just make it work for me. That's the way it is. So I don't change picks for this song or this song or this song, and I don't change my picking style. I just do what I do, if that makes sense. I already struggle enough with OCD the way it is. And I've had students that go really deep into these things, and I keep telling them, come back to sanity here, because you're going to get so far out there with all of these things that you're missing the bigger picture. I do remind myself that maybe there's a better string. Maybe there's a better pick. Maybe there's a better approach. But if I go down that's a dark path. If I keep going down that, I got to be okay with the fact that things might change, if that makes sense. I can do what I need to do here, and it feels comfortable to me. And I can dabble in something else. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's okay to come back again. So you have to be careful with this stuff, that you don't start to like, I got to buy a new guitar and I got to put new strings on and I need those EMG pickups that Steve uses. And like, it doesn't need to be crazy. But it's taken me 40 years to get to where I am right now with, I really do like humbuckers and I really do like EMGs and I really do like these picks and I really do like the guitar set up like this so it's easy to play. Now, I'm going to get to you in a second, Chris. I can tell you that all the guitars that I have here in the studio, what you'll notice is when I'm talking about these sorts of conversations, I'm not using all those other guitars. There's only 2 or 3 guitars that I have in here that are shred friendly to me, that I really love to do the job I want to have done. Which is why when I'm talking to you about this, or you see me playing on stage, you're going to see me playing these guitars. I can't just run into a guitar store and grab a Les Paul off the shelf that's got 11 gauge strings on it and do what I'm doing right now. It's got to be right. So there's only a few guitars that fit what I want. And that sucks. But that's the reality. So, just because you have a guitar doesn't mean it's the right guitar. And I am not telling you to go out and buy another guitar. What I'm saying is just the more you become aware of it, you start realizing, well, that's why shredders do use an Ibanez, or that's why they whatever. Because it's kind of built for that kind of playing versus a SG. I'm not saying you can't shred on an SG. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you look around, you're going to start recognizing that this is why people use certain things. People will go, well, it's not really, what you're doing isn't really musical. There's some truth to that. But there's that gets into a whole psychobabble thing of, is there, just because I did this, does that make that any more musical? I mean, I've done that 50 million times in my life. Is it any more musical to do that than it is to do this? Well, and that's the thing, is it's all in context. Everything that we're learning has to be in context of music, is something real. What makes this different is that it's not about these single note choices that you're doing. It's a collective development of something. And it starts with moving from string number 1 to string number 2. That's where this whole thing begins, okay, is understanding that it doesn't matter whether you're playing, at 5 or 8 or 10. It doesn't matter where you are. What matters is when you get into diatonic scales, even if you're not there yet, when you get into diatonic scales, you're dealing with 1, 2, and 4, or 1, 3, and 4. That's your entire world, is 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 3, and 4. Not 1, 2, and 3. Not 2, 3, and 4. Why? Because there's no scale that has 2 half steps sequentially. There's no scale that does that. So if you think about our theory when we went through all that stuff, your half steps between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, it's never 3 and 4 and 4 and 5, or 6 and 7, 7 and 8. It's never that. So either you're dealing with a half step and then a whole step, or a whole step then a half step, or 2 whole steps, which is what we call a spread fingering. Practice with intention. What are you working on? Do you need more work with your picking? Do you need more work with your legato? Are you trying to work on that connection from the first string of whatever to the second string, that adjacent string, that connection? Are you trying to choke up a bit more on the pick? Are you turning a little bit more? Okay? All of these things make a difference. And I'm very aware of deadening all these other strings as I'm playing. So I'm killing them all. Now, once we get used to all of that, again, there's a lot of different ways that we can start moving around the guitar, but we don't want to worry about that just yet. I just want you to understand that you're either moving toward the floor, or you're moving toward the ceiling, or you're doing a round robin back and forth.